Good to see you today. Hope you're doing well. We're going to be thinking about a man named Enoch today, who is in the lineage of Seth, actually, going towards Noah. Our hymn today is a hymn called The Soul Sweet Home.
I have heard of the joy of the soul sweet home, where the weary and wayward at last shall come. And the light of its beauty I long to see, when the glory of heaven shall shine on me. Oh, the soul sweet home, oh, the city fair, through the golden gates we shall enter there. Oh, the light of its beauty I long to see, when the glory of heaven shall shine on me.
Appreciate it, Lee. Second verse. In its harbor of rest are the white, white sails of the ships that have weathered the bitter gales. And they strive no more, as at peace they lie, for the storms of the earth life have all passed by. To that wonderful land with its fadeless flowers, with its beautiful songs, and its perfumed bowers, we are sailing on, and the years are few ere its harbor of rest shall appear in view. Oh, the soul's sweet home. We're in Genesis chapter 5. After Cain departs, Abel has died, of course, and now we get to Seth, and you have Seth's genealogy. And so it's the book of the genealogy of Adam. As it goes on, Seth is spoken about in verse 3, and we start having a contrast between Seth's family and Cain's family. Is the point a lot of folks like to make. But you have these genealogies as they go on, and eventually it gets to someone, as I said, a fellow named Enoch. And let's just start reading in verse 18. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Lamech is the one who's going to, as it speaks about, have a son named Noah. So that's where we are, basically. Concerning Enoch, he's an interesting character. He's mentioned in the New Testament, actually. Talks about prophesying, that Enoch had prophesied. I believe that's found in the book of Jude. But he was faithful. He walked with God, it says. Doesn't say a whole lot about him, but it says that. So what points might we make? One is this. In the midst of a wicked world, Enoch lived righteously. In the midst of a sinful world. And recognize that's what's happening. The world is becoming less and less what God intended it to be. They are turning more and more to wickedness. And yet in the midst of this wickedness, Enoch walked with God. It is possible in a wicked world to live faithfully to the Lord. Enoch did it. Not only did Enoch live righteously in a sinful world, Enoch raised a family in a sinful world. He raised a faithful family in a sinful world. You know, sometimes when young couples look out into the world, young Christian couples, they look out into the world and they think, you know, it's just so horrible. You know, the things that you see in this day and age, and they think maybe it would be better to just not bring any more people into this world. And for one thing, we might consider the Lord did tell them to be fruitful and multiply, but also we can raise families. We can raise faithful families I'm not saying it'll be easy, but we can raise faithful families in a sinful world. Enoch did it. That prophecy that Enoch made, most people think that it pertains to his son Methuselah, because when you do the math, when Methuselah died, he died the same year the flood came. There's something in Methuselah's name that basically means it will come. I can't remember exactly what the definition of Methuselah's name means, but it's something along those lines, that there was something prophetic in his name. Enoch raised a faithful family in an unrighteous world. Now, of course, the peculiar thing about Enoch is what it speaks about there in verse 24. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And Methuselah is going to live on, and then, of course, you have Lamech, and you're going to have Noah. And I was just thinking about this. I was thinking about that phrase, for God took him. And I mean, it's not like, when, was it Elijah who who also the Lord takes, by the way. And that's God's doing. It's not like it was Enoch's doing. No, it says God took him. It doesn't say that Enoch took the off-ramp up to heaven. No, God took him. I was thinking about the phrase, and it's not an inspired phrase, but something along the lines of concerning the storms of life. That sometimes the Lord calms the storm, and other times the Lord simply calms the child, and the storm rages. Perhaps you've heard that quote before. I'm kind of hashing it up a little bit. But my point is, the Lord took Enoch, and he was faithful. He walked with God, and he was not going to see. He was not going to see what came. Noah would. Noah would see what came. Noah would have to endure the flood. Enoch would not have to endure the flood. Methuselah would not have to endure the flood. Noah would. So whether the Lord takes us or we remain, I'll give you another example of that. Do you remember in the New Testament when James and Peter are in prison? What happens to James? He gives his life. He's martyred. What happens to Peter? He's freed from prison. Could both individuals do what they did faithfully? Yes. One departed to be with the Lord, and the other one remained to serve the Lord. Enoch, the Lord took him. Just an interesting account, isn't it, as we think about the soul's sweet home. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our daily praise.